topic for today is the movies coming up in 2024. What we think of them, what we think are going to be the big ones, and what ones we're personally excited for. My New Year's resolution is to start a revolution.
But Hollywood making the same
They're running
stuff
out of
over
ideas.
and over again.
Yeah. But there are a few original
We haven't
movies
got
on
out
this
of the
list.
sequel verse yet.
Yeah.
The sequel verse, that is the theme of 24.
I think it's like The Princess and the Pea. It could just be a little bit of wokeness and it would still ruin it. So let's each individually pick the 5 movies we're the most excited for. And then we'll try to figure out what we think the 5 most successful movies this year will be. Hello, and welcome to the Pop Culture Contrarian podcast with Thomas, Sterling, and Andrew.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
We are back for 2024. This episode should drop on January 18th. The big news for us today, way back on January 11th, is Coach Nick Saban retired yesterday, or he announced it yesterday.
Bye.
It's a shame. It's a pity. He's the GOAT.
It's the end of an era.
Yeah, and Bill Belichick in the NFL also retired. So between...
No, he didn't. He did not retire.
Okay, well,
He's gone from the Patriots. That doesn't mean he's retired.
Oh, okay. Well, he's no longer with the Patriots. During his tenure with the Patriots and Saban's tenure at Alabama, so from the year 2000 onward, there was a 50-50 chance that one of those two coaches won a title every year. They're in a league of their own.
All right, move over.
Yeah. Who's next? All right. But that's not our topic for today. Our topic for today is the movies coming up in 2024. What we think of them, what we think are going to be the big ones, and what ones we're personally excited for. So we're just going to discuss that, and we hope you enjoy it. All right.
But first,
what
is your New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution is to start a revolution.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That sounds about right coming from you,
Ambitious.
Sterling. I didn't have a resolution particularly, but kind of the theme of 24 for me is a goal without a plan is a dream. So make plans.
That almost made sense.
Yeah.
Thomas, what's your New Year's resolution?
It's the old-fashioned one. I got to lose about 15 pounds that I gained over the holidays.
Remember that the camera adds 15 pounds, so...
All you have to do is destroy the camera.
Just step out of the studio and then you've already lost
Right.
it.
Resolution succeeded. That is the secret. My New Year's resolution is to not do as well as I should, not sleep enough, play lots of video games. There we go.
All right.
I'm gonna nail that.
Perfect for somebody who is under 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you start tipping the other way.
Yeah.
Just, it's like never give an order you don't know will be obeyed. Don't make a resolution you don't know you can keep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You don't be a leader.
Right.
All right. So let's go to our main picture here. We've got a few lists of the upcoming movies, but we'll start with this one. So the first one is coming out tomorrow. For us, anyhow, on January 12th, Mean Girls.
Lindsay Lohan is what I think about every time I hear Mean Girls.
The first Mean Girls is an absolute classic with Lindsay Lohan, and I actually do recommend that movie.
Great movie.
Pretty much to anybody.
Never seen it.
Back when she was
never
very
seen it.
attractive.
When did when did the first Mean
Before the
Girls come
drugs,
out?
sure.
What year?
2008.
That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Anyway.
not Tuesday, so we're not wearing pink, because on Tuesdays we wear pink, as Mean Girls taught us.
Yes.
So that movie,
Are you
I don't
looking
know.
forward to it?
It's a musical. We'll see. I don't have any expectations. I'm interested to find out.
Are there any actors from the original that are going to be in this sequel?
I don't think so. I know Tina Fey is going to be in it, and Amy Poehler was in the original, and they worked together on a lot of this stuff, so I assume there's some back and forth. But
Okay.
yeah, I didn't look into that one too much. I'm not that interested, because you can't improve the first one, I don't think.
Yeah. It just goes along with this theme of Hollywood is, well, we can get into this more, but Hollywood making the same
They're running
stuff
out of
over
ideas.
and over again.
Yeah.
But there are a few original
We haven't
movies
got
on
out
this
of the
list.
sequel verse yet.
Yeah.
And going back to something we said before we started recording, I think the movie you were thinking of is Imaginary, because there's Imaginary and there's If coming out this year, and they're separate movies.
Oh,
One of them's horror, one of them is kind of fun.
I got you.
But it's the same kind of idea, I think.
Well, in one of them, it's a kid who becomes attached to like a stuffed bear in his house, and that's Imaginary, and it's
Okay.
horror. And then If is Ryan Reynolds, who speaks on behalf of all the imaginary friends of the world or something like that, and it's kind of fun.
Okay.
But anyhow, that's one of the original movies coming out this year. If I don't really think I'm going to see that movie. I do like Ryan Reynolds, and it is original, but I never had an imaginary friend, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, not terribly into the horror stuff.
But it's
this one's
not
not horror. Imaginary is the
You're
horror.
getting it mixed up.
imaginary is.
Yeah, this one's-
yeah.
This
okay.
one was probably more comedic and light and probably designed for
Kids.
Kids.
Gotcha.
audience. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and so that one we skipped ahead a little bit, but going back to upcoming movies, we've got Argylle, which is about some authoress who goes on an adventure or something like that.
Her story, it's like she writes about these espionage, like kind of James Bondy stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then she finds herself actually caught up in a
Right, I
real
remember
life
the trailer
version.
for this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, where she finds, kind of similar to that Sandra Bullock movie that came out just a couple of years ago.
I'm just going to pull up the list here, and I'll put it on the screen and then in the show notes for those who are watching and for those who are listening.
Yeah, and all right, so that's Argylle. Either of y'all excited about that one at all?
Not really.
I mean, it may be good. It'll probably be something I'll watch when it comes to Hulu or whatever service I end up having at the time. But yeah, I'm not going to see it in theaters, I don't think, unless the word of mouth is really good.
Whichever one you're pirating at the time.
Traditionally,
I do pay for one streaming service at a time. I don't just go around pirating, although I do hope the Pirate Bay makes a comeback.
I mean, traditionally, we've kind of passed that season of like the big ones coming out, and we're kind of in a little bit of a lull, and then they have come around March-ish.
Yeah, March. Historically, it was like late April, early May is when you first started seeing big movies in the year, but over the past 10, 15 years, it's really been pushed back to sometimes March.
Okay.
So yeah, Madam Web comes out February 14th, and that's a all-female cast of Spider-Man associated characters, but they're not allowed to use Spider-Man in the movie, so
it's Spider-Man.
yes, very good.
Well, I mean, after the Marvels,
Yeah,
I don't know, have high hopes for these all-female superhero movies.
I mean, guys in Hollywood, listen to the consumer here.
yes.
I mean, people don't want to see that for every movie.
They don't want to see it for every movie, but they don't mind seeing it necessarily if you do it
No.
well. But here's the thing, you Hollywood executives need to understand. The Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the Marvel movies that have been so successful, X-Men, Spider-Man, in the early 2000s, do you know who drove the success of those movies? Was it teenage girls?
No.
No. Was it teenage boys?
Maybe.
Yes, it was teenage boys. I was a teenage boy who dragged my whole family to go see Iron Man 2 in theaters. And, that's why you got these movies blowing up and being wildly successful. So, if you're going to pander to somebody, pander to the audience who shows up for these movies.
Sure. Madam Web, we'll see how that goes.
We'll see. It's doomed to failure in my mind because you're trying to make a movie about Spider-Man characters where you can't include Spider-Man. So that, just like with the Morpheus movie, which has been memed to death.
So, is it still the Spider-Man universe?
Yeah, there's even a character who is in like a Spider-Man suit in the movie and doing Spider-Man things, but he's not Spider-Man. He's a villain or something.
Okay. And is this a Disney movie?
Yeah. No, it's Sony. That's why they can't use Spider-Man, because Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man, but they made a deal where they're only allowed to use Spider-Man in a release if they're working with Disney on that release. So it's complicated. But then animated Spider-Man, he's fair game. They can do whatever they want. So it's only live action where they're limited on that. So Madam Web, again, I don't think that's anything we're excited for this year. Like I said, doomed to failure. First one I'm excited for on this list is Dune Part 2,
Yes.
coming out on March 1st. I am in anticipation of that rereading the first 4 Dune books. If you've read those books, then you know just how bonkers those books get. If you haven't, they're not for the faint of heart. They're very strange.
Yeah.
But read them before you go see the film.
Well, at least read the first
No,
book, because
just
this
the
is
first
primarily just the first book. But
Yeah.
Read them all anyway.
I mean, the first part, I mean, it would be hard. I don't expect a letdown after the first part.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were mostly kind of, maybe I'm mistaken on this, but I believe they were filmed together, at least partially.
Maybe.
So presumably,
I thought he had to wait to get the green light to go ahead.
yeah,
and start.
I guess you're right about that.
Yeah.
But I doubt there will be any letdown here. I expect this to be my favorite movie of the year, Dune Part 2, because Dune Part 1 was my favorite movie of 2021.
Agree.
And then shortly thereafter, 1 week after, we get Kung Fu Panda 4, which I've never really gotten into the Kung Fu Panda movies, but I understand they're excellent. They're actually excellent.
Have you seen any of them?
I've seen the first one, yeah.
Okay.
And then I've seen lots of clips of the others.
It'll be a fun movie, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's actually, I think it's a strong contender for the biggest box office movie of the year.
Is it Jack Black again?
Yeah.
So you think it'll exceed $1 billion?
I think it could. Obviously, if it made $900 million and it was the movie of the year, we just wouldn't have $1 billion movie this year. I think that's possible.
When was the last Kung Fu Panda released?
It's been a little while.
Yeah. I mean, usually sometimes that gap in time makes it so there's more anticipation for a movie.
The last one came out in 2016, and it made $520 million. So up to 900, that'd be a huge jump.
That
so
would
probably
be a
we won't see
massive
that.
jump.
But $500 million is very respectable.
Sure.
Yeah, I would.
It's Jack.
Aren't they predicting this could be like 1 point something billion?
No, I don't think we saw
Not
that
this one.
prediction.
Okay, I thought that I saw that. Okay.
Next on our list, we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
No way that does well.
It will continue the trend of mediocre Ghostbuster spin-offs.
Well, this is the second one with this new group of kids.
Oh, is it the same group from Afterlife?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't there's also a kid from Stranger Things in it, right?
Yeah, he was in
okay.
in the Afterlife.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that is like a star following. So that could maybe bode well.
But the first one made, I had it pulled up somewhere, I think around $400 million, and the rest have made, they're lucky if they make $300 million. So I think that's about the cap on this one. It'll make $300 million if it does well.
Yeah. And it just continues with the theme of Hollywood's just making the same stuff over and over again.
Right.
They're making sequels and, all these series of films.
Does it have a recognizable name? No, then we're not greenlighting it.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the way Hollywood's.
That's what the
operating
tent
these days.
poles look like anyway. And this list is kind of like a tent pole list.
Yeah, all the movies the studios are expecting to be their big releases for this year. So Ghostbusters, I think we got the first Ghostbusters movie, and we're all happy we got that movie because it's an incredible classic movie. The rest of them, maybe Ghostbusters 2 was good, but then after that, did we need more? I don't think so. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I struggle because Ghostbusters, when the original came out in the 80s, it's the American culture for which it came into was ready for it and really enjoyed it. It's almost like you're trying to go back to that, and here we are in 2024, and I'm like, the U.S. feels a lot different, and so I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree that it's just a franchise that's past its time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Up next, we have Godzilla versus Kong, or they may be working together in this one.
No, they're opposed. I thought they were opposed to each other in this.
It's Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire.
Yeah.
So I think one of the trailers, it looks like they're kind of running together. And of course, suddenly Godzilla and King Kong are the exact same size, which...
When did that happen?
It happened when they shrank Godzilla for the,
it's movie
for the
magic.
first Godzilla versus Kong
It
movie.
happens.
Okay.
They made Kong way too big and they made Godzilla way too small.
Well, remember that Jack Black Kong? What was Kong?
Just King Kong, I think.
Yeah, he was so huge in that one. It was ridiculous how big
But
he was.
he was this the Jack Black one.
Is that the one?
Are you
where they go to the island?
And they have
Skull Island? That's the same one. That's is that Jack Black in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the air cavalry.
Right.
Okay. I was mixing it up with the 2004 one by Peter Jackson. Yeah, that's the same Godzilla as this one. That's all the part of the same franchise.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want a monster movie, you'll probably like this. But we can't mention Godzilla, a new one, and not talk about Godzilla -1, which kind of goes back to the roots of Godzilla, and it came out over the break for us anyhow.
That's the Japanese creative one.
Yeah, it's a Japanese created one, and it's a critical success, and it's more of a horror movie, and apparently it's just excellent, and I do want to see it. I haven't had the chance yet.
Brushing up on your Japanese?
I assume the dialogue's
Probably
going to
be dubbed.
Yeah, but if not, I may not recognize anything but Gojira!
Yeah.
And I just got canceled for saying that. But.
Yep, you're done. Get out.
And then we have The Fall Guy, which is apparently based on some 80s TV show. I don't really know anything about this.
Yeah,
one.
Thomas, you mentioned that. I really don't know anything about it either.
I just know that he is a stuntman who somehow gets in an adventure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like an action comedy.
Ryan Gosling is the Fall Guy.
Okay.
So I enjoy Ryan Gosling.
So it's a stuntman movie?
Yeah, in general. That's the basic premise of it, but I don't know the details beyond that.
It comes out May 3rd, so that's a release date that indicates they have faith in this.
Well, he's an A-star.
He's for sure an A-list star. I'll probably go see it if I see the trailers and they're interesting.
Well, I mean, and maybe we'll get to this later. There is probably a question of which ones are we going to see, even if we don't like, just because we need to review them.
Yeah. Well, of the ones we've gone over so far, I don't think we need to see Madam Web. We're going to see Dune.
Yeah.
I think we're all excited about that.
Dune.
I may end up watching Kung Fu Panda, but I'll have to watch the first 3 again first. Not going to watch Godzilla, I don't think. I think there's a different list that might be ones we'll need to review.
Yeah,
I don't think most of these are that list.
I agree. I think these are just kind of
The big movies.
the box office busters, supposedly.
We'll talk about the other movies that we're excited about, which don't necessarily make this list.
Right. So If, we've already mentioned that one a little bit, comes out May 17th, so that'll be big. But again, it's kind of directed at kids, so I probably won't see it. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, following the character from Mad Max Fury Road, I guess.
Another Mad Max, people.
Yeah. I never saw the original Mad Maxes. I have seen Fury Road. I liked that one well enough, but like it's not my kind of franchise. I don't have anything against it, but it's just not the kind of thing I want to immerse myself in, really. Dystopia in general kind of is a turnoff for me.
Indeed.
It seems like we're going to get more of those.
I like dystopian stuff.
What do you
And
do?
there's a couple of them this year. Well, we'll get to it. The Quiet Place is on the list as well.
So are you a Walking Dead fan?
Very much so.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I've seen all of it.
I've heard really great things about at least the early Walking Dead.
Yeah, it got kind of slow and terrible towards the end.
I got through 8 seasons, I think.
Yeah, I think I got
And-
through about that many.
And then I was kind of done with it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I first started hearing about that, which was, I don't know, 15 years ago or something now, I was already I'd been zombied out. I'd seen all the zombie movies I wanted to see, so I may not have ever watched even a full episode of
I gotcha.
Walking Dead.
For me, it's not about the zombies.
Yeah.
It's about, the dystopian. They're
Imagine the world falls apart.
Yeah.
What would happen?
correct.
Yeah, I do like the TV show that was canceled, Jericho, which is kind of the same.
Yeah.
idea.
Mhm.
Jericho came before it, and that was
Yeah.
the first season was great. The second was a disaster.
So apparently, all 3 of these have the same date so far. That'll probably change. But so Furiosa, and then on May 24th, in that same weekend, also the Garfield movie, which is another Chris Pratt animated
So
character. 'cause
another top
apparently,
actor.
if you're a Hollywood executive right now and you need someone to voice an animated character, your list begins and ends with Chris Pratt
Yeah.
because he was just Mario last year.
So is this a entirely animated movie?
I believe so from the trailer. Yeah.
Okay.
Then we have at the same weekend, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if that's going to be the same as the original Planet of the Apes movie or what this is going to be really. But
What do you mean? What do you mean the same?
So the original Planet of the Apes movie is you arrive at a planet where apes are the dominant species and they're ruling the planet, right?
Right.
The 3 movies that have preceded this one in the past decade have been about first injecting an ape with a chemical that makes him as smart as a human or smarter, and his story in the first one. And then the second one is kind of that chemical goes viral around the world and it kills a bunch of humans and the apes start becoming smart. And then the third one is kind of war between the humans and the apes, I think. I haven't seen all of the sequels.
It's basically telling the story of what happened while, if you see the original Planet of the Apes, it's a space traveler.
While he's in space. I
And
guess.
he's come home to find everything has come to this end, this unlikely end of apes now being the dominant species.
Yeah.
But the most recent past 3 over decades, I guess, have been the story.
Yeah. Of how that happened.
Yeah, right.
This one I do know it's going to be a civilization of apes and humans will be much more second tier citizens in this world. I do know in this one coming this year. So I don't know. I would expect you might see the astronaut come down from space in this movie, but maybe not. So those are all competing for the same weekend. That would be interesting if that ends up happening. I expect one of those will probably shift because that's the way this works. And then we have Ballerina, a John Wick spinoff. With,
Interesting.
I think Ana de Armas is the main character in that one.
John Wick's got some staying power.
It really does. I heard amazing things about John Wick, and this will be the 5th one, I think. John Wick 4.
Yeah, there's been 4 of them.
I watched the first one, and I was like, if you like loud noises and good gunplay and lots and lots and lots and lots of shooting, this is a movie for you. If you want story, it's not.
No, I mean, really, and for those who haven't seen it, and I think most people probably have, but it's just killing people constantly for the whole movie. That's just it. That's the movie.
To summarize the first movie for you real quick, John Wick's a retired hitman whose dog gets killed, and so he decides, I'm going to kill everybody.
Yeah, and he
That's
does.
the story. That's the movie.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So don't mess with his dog.
I've never actually seen one of these things.
Okay. Well,
But
if you ever want just
based on that description, I'm not motivated.
well, people really, really like it.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And Hollywood is desperately trying to put out stuff that people are going to go to the theaters for.
Hence,
Right.
Yeah. The sequel verse.
Yeah.
The sequel verse. That is the theme of 24.
Well, it's been the theme for a while,
Yeah,
but
it
I think
is. Yeah.
especially the terrible year for movies of 2021 because of COVID in 2020 has probably made them even more risk averse, even more likely to only greenlight movies with recognizable names. So,
And it's not going to get any better anytime soon after, half a year of a writer's strike.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that is not going to help.
We're not going to see the results of that for a little while yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ballerina. So if you want to see a girl whose dog, I assume, gets killed and then kills everybody, then this is the movie for you.
Probably.
Maybe it's a cat because she's a girl.
Okay.
Man, you're sexist.
Yeah, I know. They won't let me use my new favorite word.
Yeah, you're not allowed.
Nope.
Don't even think about it.
All right. So after Ballerina, the next weekend, June 14th, we get Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
I really liked the first Inside Out movie. I dragged some friends to go see it. They weren't expecting much, and we all walked out of the theater quite impressed, I think.
This is Disney, right?
Yeah, it's a Disney.
This
Disney Pixar, I think.
And it's like
It
the
should do well.
internal narrative.
Yeah, so the first Inside Out movie is, it takes place roughly in the story of this family moving from one city to another, but most of it takes place inside the daughter's mind.
Sure.
And you see these characters who represent different emotions. So the main one is joy, and then you have sadness, and you have
Anger.
greed and anger. Not greed, anger and disgust.
Okay.
And then now they're introducing a new one who I can't remember, but it's probably something about puberty, hormones or something.
I'm predicting this will probably do really well.
Yeah, I think it'll be one of the big movies of the year because the first one I think got close to or may have passed $1 billion.
And Disney
I may
needs
be making that up.
Disney needs something to do well
Yeah, that's true.
after last year.
Yeah. So do you want to break that down real quick for the audience of what happened last year with Disney?
Well, they essentially they had no box office successes, really.
Right,
Well,
but specifically
Specifically, for the first time in, I don't know, a decade or so,
Yeah.
they didn't have a number 1, 2, or 3 movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were passed by Universal as far as gross sales. So that's the first time that's happened in like a decade.
Yeah.
So
because and in 2019 Disney had like $7 billion movies.
Right.
So this is a big drop off for them.
right. So they're in number 2 right now behind Universal. Now, who knows? So far, what I'm seeing with 2024 for Disney, that's the second Disney movie that they have in this list?
I don't think they do Godzilla. I don't know who's making Fall Guy.
That's right, the Spider whatever. That's
Sony. So I think this might be the first big Disney
one.
release
Okay.
on this list. They may own somebody who makes one of these movies, but I don't know. So yeah, I think that'll do well. The first one made $850 million, which is really good.
I think this one probably do well.
Yeah.
They're definitely playing it safe, and they need a win.
Yeah, that's true. And historically, even though we've been very demoralized with how Disney's performing, historically, Pixar does not make bad movies, except The Good Dinosaur, which I dragged my family to that one, and they have not forgiven me.
How often do they remind you of that one?
Well, not terribly often,
Okay.
but if I tried to drag them to another Pixar movie, they'd be like, is this Good Dinosaur again?
Yeah. My youngest child adores that movie, by the way.
Well, for a young child, it's probably great. But when you're expecting something on the quality of Toy Story 3,
Yeah.
you're going to be disappointed.
It's not the same movie at all.
No, but this one I think will be much higher quality for sure. And Pixar's in need of a win as well because I don't think Soul did tremendously well, which is their last big release.
I don't even remember that one.
I didn't see it. It's about literally souls in the after/before life who then go on to be born, and I don't know. I really don't know. So Inside Out 2, gonna be, I guess, primarily about this girl Riley going through puberty and whatever this new emotion in her head is. Should be good, I think. Hopefully. Then we get A Quiet Place Day 1, which is a sequel to, I think it was a Netflix movie, right?
Yeah, it's John Krasinski, is that his name?
Krasinski.
Or
And
Krasinski.
I think also Emily Blunt, right?
Yes, Emily
Yeah, and
Blunt's
they're
in
married,
there.
so.
Yeah, and Jim from The Office, for anyone who doesn't recognize the name on his face, but it originally was it's like a alien invasion kind of thing. The whole idea is these creatures can hear, they can't see, and so everyone has to move silently to survive.
And you can't speak, obviously. So that's why it's A Quiet Place. So it's another horror thriller kind of thing. Yeah.
Sci-fi horror thriller.
Then we get what I think is probably the safest bet on biggest movie of the year, Despicable Me 4. These movies are wildly, wildly popular. Everyone loves the Minions, except apparently me. Like, I didn't hate the first movie. It's fine. But I never fell in love with the Minions like it seems like our entire culture did.
Yeah.
Is Steve Carell still the...
Yeah, I don't know if this is all the same cast or not. Despicable Me 4. I can't spell despicable.
I would assume
Despicable 4.
if he's the title character.
I'm sure they're going to keep him.
Yeah, Steve Carell, Kristen Wiig, Miranda Cosgrove looks like the same cast.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's still voicing Gru. So
this is kind of like, I don't know, I guess you could say this is like the Toy Story of
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Despicable Me is, of course, more similar, I think, to Shrek, which makes sense because they're both, I believe, DreamWorks. But yeah, I think that one it's very likely to be the biggest movie of the year. $1 billion, maybe. It may get 900 and stop, but there's only a couple movies I think that might do better. And that's July 3rd, which is right in the middle. That's where you want to put your big movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we get another one I'm actually a little bit excited for, Deadpool 3. I was back in 2016 or 2015 when Deadpool was about to come out. I was super excited. Saw the first one, was not disappointed. I thought it delivered on the character, who was this fourth wall-breaking, insane guy who has a healing factor like Wolverine, but he also has cancer. So the cancer is constantly killing him while his healing factor is bringing him back to life and also boosting the cancer. So, yeah. But he knows he's in a movie, he knows he's in comic books, and he always references those things, and he interacts with X-Men and stuff and has adventures, kind of anti-hero. I'm a fan. I hope this one will be good. It's going to have Wolverine making a reappearance. Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
Definitely a favorite character.
Yeah.
And Hugh Jackman has the longest, I don't know how to say this. In 2000, he first appeared as Wolverine, and now in 2024, he's appearing again as Wolverine. That's the longest span of playing one character in major movies, I think of. Definitely in superheroes, but maybe in anything.
Wow.
That's quite a...
That's a good, you know, he was wise to take that part. It worked out
well.
For him.
He's kind of like one of those actors that almost define Wolverine in the sense that if any other actor takes up and does Wolverine, which will probably happen in the future, but it's just not going to feel the same.
Yeah, it's true.
It's kind of like, honestly, with Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. I mean, it would be hard to see somebody else be able to do it as well as he did it.
I agree. I will say, though, if we do get the inevitable Wolverine reboot, I hope they do something that's going to shock movie-only audiences, but they make Wolverine short. Because in the comics, Wolverine's short. He's like 5'4" or something. And then, of course, Hugh Jackman is like 6'2". So you never got that aspect of the character.
Yeah, you're not gonna. It would be shocking. You're right. That would be a shock.
Well, now, it's actually an element of this character in the comics, though,
right?
So.
I get that part, but Hollywood.
Yeah.
So is this the second Disney movie out? Right.
Yeah, it's the second big one on this list. We have Inside Out 2 and Deadpool 3, and those will probably both be quite successful.
Now, Ryan Reynolds, what other superhero did he do?
Green Lantern.
That's right.
Which he famously hates. But, you know, I actually watched that a couple years ago for the first time. It's not terrible. We've seen worse superhero movies than Green Lantern. I mean, the CGI is not great. The suit he wears, you know, the CGI suit, it's not great. But as a story, it's really not that bad. But yeah, they make jokes about that in the first Deadpool movie stuff. And then we have, after Deadpool, we have Borderlands, which is based on a video game series by the same name, Borderlands 1, 2, and 3 now.
Yeah, another super violent movie probably.
Yeah, it's kind of space western kind of thing. The video games have kind of the art style that I liken to like Cartoon Network in the early 2000s with Ed, Edd and Eddy and the Adventures of Flapjack and stuff like that. Not a style I'm a fan of. I don't know if this is going to be animated or live action, but they've got Cate Blanchett playing the lead in this movie. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's different. And yeah, I have no idea what to expect from this movie, how well it'll perform, if it will reach a big audience. I have no idea. Then we have another Spider-Man spinoff without Spider-Man, Kraven the Hunter.
Is this by the same studio?
So there are
Yeah, it's still Sony.
Spider-Man spinoffs without Spider-Man.
Correct.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Kraven the Hunter is defined by being a Spider-Man villain. Like, he's not anything in the comics other than a Spider-Man villain, pretty much.
So is this his backstory without Spider-Man?
I don't know. I think they're going to do what they've been doing, which is try to flesh him out as a character who can be a lead in his own movie, which does not work tremendously well. It worked okay with Venom. I don't think they're going to have another hit like Venom, which is still only a mild hit.
I don't know.
That's weird.
It is interesting that the same studio is doing two of the same basic universe without the main character of that
Just
universe.
Just wait. There's more.
There's more. You got Transformers 1. I don't know anything about this. It's another Transformers movie. I assume it'll do pretty well because they all seem to.
Yeah. That's, people just like big robots.
Big robots fighting other big robots. It's kind of like big giant lizards fighting big giant apes. We're fans.
Yeah. It's entertainment.
Yep. And I will say Pacific Rim is one of my guilty pleasure movies.
Yes.
Just big robots fighting big lizards. What can go wrong? So yeah, another Transformers movie.
When are they going to do Pacific Rim meets Godzilla?
I don't know.
That'd be in
It would make
25.
sense. Yeah.
It would make sense.
I was joking with some friends last night that I can't wait for the Fast and Furious movies to start crossing over with everything. Fast and Furious and Harry Potter, Fast and Furious and Lord of the Rings, Fast and Furious and Star Wars. It's inevitable, I think, because it seems like they're never stopping with Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious, Indiana Jones.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I genuinely, Fast and Furious is such a bizarre franchise to me, but we'll see. After Transformers, in October, we get Joker Folie à Deux. I think I said that right.
What?
I have no idea.
The French Joker.
Yeah, it's Joker 2, and it's going to have Joker and Harley Quinn, with Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker and Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn.
Has Lady Gaga ever been in a movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in A Star is Born in 2017.
Right. That was actually a really good, well-done movie.
Never
I
saw
agree,
that movie.
Yeah.
That was with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga.
And mustache cowboy guy who's got the great voice. What's his name?
Sam Elliott.
Sam
Yeah,
Elliott.
He's in it as well. So yeah, Joker Part 2. I've made my position on this clear, I think. I think the first Joker movie, which did make more than $1 billion, so very successful, is not a movie anyone should ever watch. I think it's actually bad to watch that movie. That's my opinion. So I'm not excited for this one, but it probably will do well.
We shall see. Yeah. It's very dark, very disturbing.
Very dark, disturbing.
Is it the same director as the first one?
I think that's what I was seeing when I looked into it.
If it's the continuation of that story, it would be kind of fascinating because of his take on who Joker is. I would say Harley Quinn, bringing her into the story in that same more real world type of universe would be fascinating.
Same director.
So this could be a really interesting film.
It could be. We may get some Batman in this one because he's, I think, a child in the first Joker movie. So depending on how big the jump is, there may be Batman in this. Probably not.
Maybe this explains why Napoleon was such a failure.
Joker explains why Napoleon was a failure?
I didn't realize he was working on a second Joker.
Oh, okay. Well, they're a year apart. I don't think it probably interfered too much.
I don't know. He had to try to get back in character.
Yeah,
Sometimes
could be.
prepare himself.
Could be.
It'd be hilarious if he did Joker as Napoleon.
That would be funny. Yeah.
Method acting
I mean,
and crossover.
Yep.
yeah, could be. And then, of course, we get to our third Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man, Venom 3. Again, Venom was originally a character that was introduced with Spider-Man as a part of Spider-Man.
Is it Tom Hardy again?
It's still Tom Hardy.
Okay.
And it's him doing Venom stuff, I guess.
All the Spider-Man movies
it's
without
him being
Spider-Man.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah. So in the first Venom movie, they just introduced the first symbiote, Venom, which is the black one. The second one, they introduced the red one, Carnage, who likes to kill even more than the first one does. I know in the comics, they've gone all the way to having like a god of the symbiotes, where the symbiotes take over the universe. I don't know if that's what they're introducing here. They could. We'll see. Venom 3.
Okay.
The first two are not terrible. I own them.
So for the comic book universe, I guess, I mean, I'm familiar with the Marvel versus the DC. Spider-Man is of the Marvel.
Yes, Spider-Man is a Marvel character.
So the Venom character would have been technically part of the Marvel universe, or no?
Yes, because they made him part of the Marvel universe in Venom 2 and then in...
No, but the comic book character preceded.
In the comics,
yeah.
Spider-Man, Venom, the Fantastic Four, Wolverine, all those characters interact in the same universe. Completely.
Okay. And so they pre-exist in any of the movies, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so we have this weird thing happening here where we have Disney's Marvel or MCU, right?
Yeah, the MCU, yeah.
Okay. And then you've got the DC universe. And then you have Sony doing its thing, but it can't actually do it the full way because of rules.
The deal they made with Disney.
And so they kind of they're creating their own little Marvel-esque.
That's what they're trying to do.
Comic book war
they keep failing
world.
after failing after failing.
Yeah.
They had one success with Venom, and
Yeah, good luck.
You think so you're predicting all three of these this year are just going to be meh?
No, I think Venom will probably make money because it's now on its third movie.
Okay.
So, but Craven, I'm not expecting much of, and Madam Web, I think, will be one of the big flops this year.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So whatever. Yeah. Anyhow, moving on. The next movie we have is Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim, coming out in December of 2024.
I know you can't hardly wait.
I know. You know me. I love Lord of the Rings. I think they're Christmas movies. I watch them every Christmas. I did this year.
Well, it seems like it's coming out in time for Christmas.
It's coming
next
out
year.
just like all the others. Yeah. Here's the thing.
There's always a thing.
There's always a thing. This is set like 200 years, or 200 years is about right, I think, before Frodo is born. So it's set 200 years before the movies, and 150 years before The Hobbit. And it's set in Rohan when there was this massive attack of wild people, and they basically overran Rohan, and all the Rohirrim basically get forced to retreat to Helm's Deep. And the main character is going to be Helm the Hammerhand, of which Helm's Deep is named. And he does have a great story, and you get a little bit of it, but it's like 2 pages that Tolkien wrote about who Helm the Hammerhand was. You cannot build a full-length movie based on 2 pages about Helm the Hammerhand. I'm sorry. So you're going to have to invent stuff. And when you try to invent stuff to go with Tolkien's world in the year 2024, it's got to be political.
Yeah.
What's the studio that's doing this?
I don't even know, but it's going to be an animated movie. I think it may be a fully anime movie. The War of Rohirrim. It's going to be Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema, so pretty standard.
What? Any notable actors?
Well, Brian Cox is going to be voicing Helm the Hammerhand.
Okay.
He's pretty big. And then Miranda Otto, who plays Éowyn, is going to be doing voiceover during the movie as Éowyn telling the story, presumably.
Okay.
So this one will be on our radar for
you're
woke
worried.
rating.
Yeah, so you're worried that because there's not enough actual old material that they'll have to write a bunch of new material, and that new material is going to be so doused in wokeness is going to ruin it?
I think it's like The Princess and the Pea. It could just be a little bit of wokeness and it would still ruin it.
Gotcha.
Especially for me. To me, Lord of the Rings is, I'm a Christian. That's obviously the most important thing about me. But you got, Christian,
Lord of the
American
Rings.
A little bit down here. Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings is very important to me.
So it's kind of like, don't mess with Texas for you.
Don't mess with Lord of the Rings. Just
okay.
Leave it alone. You can't improve it. It's impossible to improve it. So anything you do is just going to lower the quality. That's how I feel.
So
it may be a good movie.
My final question, will you watch this? Or are you going to wait and hear stuff about it?
We will force you to watch it, and then we'll review it.
There's going to be a battle in my soul. Do I go see this or do I not? It's going to depend definitely on word of mouth, on what the production sounds like. If it sounds like there's DEI people involved in making this, then I just won't see it because I don't want to support their box office.
Yeah,
well, you won't know about it, though, audience, until 2025.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah, it is coming out this year, but we won't talk about it this year.
So
yeah,
what's
unless
this
it's the last episode of the year.
What's the last one here is right before Christmas?
Sonic 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On December 20th.
Used to play that on the Sega Genesis.
Oh, timey.
Is Jim Carrey in this one?
I think he is. Sonic 3. I've seen the first Sonic movie, and Jim Carrey was, in my opinion,
the only reason
completely
to see
watchable that entire movie, and I was having great fun watching him. Whenever he was not on screen, I was quite bored. But yeah, I'm sure 10-year-olds will love all the Sonic movies.
So were you a Sega man?
Yeah, I like the Sega Genesis. I mean, I played a lot of different video game systems. But
yeah, I played Sonic a few times. I didn't have a Sega Genesis, so I never got into it.
I don't see Jim Carrey signed on yet, so he may not be in it at all.
It might have no success.
Well,
Instant
it's going to have
success.
some success. Any time you get a third movie in a series, it's going to probably make its budget back. But yeah, I don't know if this will be a big movie.
This is a live action anime.
It's just live action with an animated character.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Well, anime has a specific meaning.
Live action character with an animated character
Yeah.
in it.
So
All right, so
those are the tentpole movies.
yeah,
we've
those are the
discussed.
tentpole movies. Yeah, the theme I'm seeing here, as mentioned earlier, is play it safe, recognizable names. I mean, not a whole lot of original stuff. There's a couple or 3 examples of original films, but it's series stuff, sequel stuff.
Yeah.
It's what we look forward to, at least for the big things.
Yeah. So we'll touch on a couple other movies and then let's wrap up because we've gone pretty long already. A couple other movies coming out this year are A24's Civil War,
Yeah.
which will at least be interesting. We'll definitely review that one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's particularly interesting because it's a modern day Civil War and it's a very political film and it's on an election year.
And it's examining questions that are actually open questions in America.
Right. Yeah. In some ways, I've heard people saying, this film could maybe take the temperature, as it were, of the American people. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what that one does.
Yeah, I agree. The line that sticks out to me from the trailer for that is when some characters say, "We're American," and someone responds, "What kind?" You don't even know what kind of American you are. And
Yeah, that's like a
I could see
Clint
that kind of
Eastwood,
question being asked
make,
in real life.
Make my day. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely going to review that one. The other one that I think we can't ignore that's coming out this year is Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's Ridley Scott. I do like Ridley Scott. It's Russell Crowe coming back, but it's been 20 years. So what's the story? I don't know.
Well, hopefully this Ridley Scott is better than the last Ridley Scott movie.
Because you didn't like Napoleon.
Yeah, I did.
I liked it okay. All right, so let's each individually pick the 5 movies we're the most excited for, and then we'll try to figure out what we think the 5 most successful movies this year will be. So I'm going to go ahead and jot down based on this list.
Do you know?
So-
Go ahead. Do you have your list?
I'm not excited for any of these on the list.
None of them at all?
Well, probably for me, it'd be Dune, Quiet Place.
It doesn't have to be on the list. What
Planet of the
movies
Apes.
are you? What?
I mean, if we're not talking about the list,
Yeah, what-
then
Any movie coming
Any
in
movie
this year.
coming up in 2020?
I'm really curious about the Civil War, A24 studio. I'm looking forward to Kevin Costner's Horizon, American Frontier.
And that's a Western?
It's a Western movie, yeah.
Okay.
I like Kevin Costner, Dances with Wolves, Open Range with Duvall and Costner. So I think that'll be a good movie. Those are kind of the 2 that really stuck out to me, but those are just because of my preferences.
Yeah. I'm picking my number 1 is Dune 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Ridley Scott and Gladiator 2.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the first Gladiator. And like you said, it's been, 20 years?
Mm-hmm. The first one came out in 2000, right?
Yeah, something like
So
that.
it's been 24 years.
24 years. I don't think Russell Crowe is going to be in this.
Oh, is he not? Did I get that right?
I'm not sure. Maybe you're right. But maybe, he's definitely not going to be the guy doing most of the fighting.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, I see Denzel, Pedro Pascal. So, yeah, I was incorrect on Russell Crowe there.
Yeah, I don't think he's in there.
I just assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? We'll find out.
See it.
The one that just saw in passing just because, and this is more like just kind of the era back in the 80s and stuff, but Beverly Hills Cop
Oh, yeah.
that's coming out with that, and it's Eddie Murphy, and that should be fun.
Yeah, it's Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, I think.
Axel, yeah. So that would be kind of fun to see, and we're going to see Civil War.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I think sometimes, I don't know if I agree with the notion that it's going to be able to take the temperature of the country, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think it will get interesting reactions for sure. So my top 5, I have, of course, Dune 2. I think we're in agreement on that. I am very excited for Dune 2. And then I have Deadpool 3. I like the Deadpool movies. I'm going to see this one. I like Wolverine. I like Deadpool. It's a win-win for me. It will almost definitely have some woke stuff in it, but I'll hold my nose through those parts. Civil War is my 3rd one, just because I do find that to be a very interesting concept. I'll enjoy that, I think, just purely on the concept. Inside Out 2, because I did like the first one. And then I have Gladiator 2, this last one on my list.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't do 5, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm gonna throw a shout out to a film that I saw over Christmas break. I don't know if that it's still in theaters, but it was really well done, and it was Boys in the Boat.
Oh, yeah.
Directed by George Clooney. I read the book
Nice.
before I watched this movie, and it's a faithful adaptation to the book. Very enjoyable. It doesn't have any real big name actors, so it's
But a couple faces.
a couple faces you'd recognize, but that's part of the reason I think that it probably wasn't quite as big at the box office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
and it's about the 38 Olympics, 36 Olympics?
36. 36 Olympics in Berlin, and it's the U.S. rowing team that won gold. 8-man crew. So it's very well done movie, very enjoyable, and so I recommend it.
All right. Well, I do intend to see it after hearing you talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. So just real quick, what do y'all think? What's your gut on this list? What's going to be the biggest movie of the year?
On the list,
I'm going to go, I'm going to say Disney's going to take it with Inside Out 2.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Despicable Me.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Despicable Me as well, because some of those movies have broken $1 billion and Inside Out didn't, the first one. So I'm just statistically, I'm going to bet safe. I think Kung Fu Panda, it would have to wildly outperform the others, but I think it could be one of the biggest movies this year. Inside Out 2 will probably do well. In the top 5 is likely. Deadpool 3. And then I saw a list that said Dune 2 might make $750 million. I wish.
Yeah,
the first one made $400 million. It's not going to double that.
That's quite a jump.
I don't know. Inflation.
And then
this is Joe Biden's America.
There is a decent chance that Joker 2 ends up being the biggest movie of the year because the first one broke $1 billion.
I didn't even think of that. You're probably right. That wouldn't surprise me at all, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah. As far as live action goes, I would go with that one as a big one.
I'm double checking. I'm fact checking myself real quick to make sure I didn't just lie about how much the first one made.
It does surprise me if the first one did make that much money. My goodness.
I know it was wildly successful. Yeah, worldwide $1 billion.
Okay.
With 750
what was the domestic? I'm just curious.
335 million.
That is interesting.
That's still really, really good.
It's really good, but that's definitely, obviously the world audience really liked that.
Yeah, and the budget on this was $55 million, so wildly, wildly successful.
It was, because it wasn't, I waited, I didn't see that for probably, when did it come out, the original?
2019.
Yeah, I didn't see that for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, same with me.
And now I didn't have near the same visceral response to it that you have. I can understand yours, but it was, did you ever see the movie Taxi Driver?
I haven't.
Okay. I would be curious if you have time sometime, watch Taxi Driver. And there might be some interesting similar themes, at least and that movie came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, that's the movies we think are going to do this year, and as well as the movies we are actually excited for this year, which are not necessarily the same movies.
Yeah. And there'll be more than movies. And
there'll be some TV shows. We didn't mention the Snow White movie from Daily Wire is coming out this year. There's no date on that, so that's why.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a question mark.
Did you ever happen to see, what was The Shift? What was the one that was?
I never got to see it, no. Okay. But I've heard good things about it. It's kind of harrowing, apparently, because The Shift is from Angel Studios, and it's a retelling of the story of Job. So if you know the story of Job, it's not a happy story.
Yeah.
So I heard that it matches the tone of the book of Job.
I see.
But also that it's good. So it's on my list to see.
In other news, it's 24. It's an election year. There's going to be a lot to talk about in that space as it overlaps with pop culture.
Yeah.
So buckle up.
Buckle up.
It should be
going to be a wild ride.
Yep.
All right. I guess that's everything for today. This has been the Pop Culture Contrarian, brought to you by the Patriot Post, where we all work. It's the oldest conservative news digest on the web. It's right. It's free. Be sure to subscribe. Bye.
See ya.